In May 2013, Ding Xuexiang was transferred to work at the central level, taking the post of Deputy Director of the General Office of the CCP, Central Committee, and concurrently Director of the Office of the State President. Around June 2015, he was clearly designated as the Deputy Director of the General Office of the CCP, Central Committee in charge of day-to-day routine operations, at full ministerial rank. Here I need to explain to everyone the functions of the Office of the State President. The General Office of the CCP Central Committee is responsible for the daily operation of the CCP Central Committee. It is the CCP Central Committee's service department. The responsibilities of the Director of the General Office go far beyond serving the General Secretary's daily work. His responsibilities also include various central-level logistical tasks, such as archives and secrecy work, as well as serving other state leaders. The General Secretary's Office and the Office of the State President have more specialised responsibilities. They are only responsible for the daily work of the General Secretary alone and do not take charge of support work for other CCP leaders. The Director of the General Office and the Director of the General Secretary's Office are often not held by the same person. For example, Jiang Zemin's directors of the General Office were successively Wen Jiabao and Zheng Qinghong, while the Director of the General Secretary's Office was Jia Ting'an. During Hu Jintao's term, the directors of the General Office were successively Wang Gang and Ling Zhihua, while the Director of the General Secretary's Office was Chen Shizhu. The rank of this Director of the General Secretary's Office is also very flexible. Sometimes he does not concurrently serve as a Deputy Director of the General Office. In that case, he is at full Department Director level. Sometimes he concurrently serves as a Deputy Director of the General Office. In that case, he is at Vice Ministerial level. Sometimes he concurrently serves as the Executive Deputy Director of the General Office. In that case, he is at full ministerial level. Different from what ordinary people imagine, not every Standing Committee member's secretarial apparatus is called an office. Strictly speaking, positions like the General Secretary, the Premier, the Chairman of the NPC Standing Committee, and the CPPCC Chairman have offices. Other Standing Committee members have sections, generally called so-and-so section. Among these, the number of personnel in that Standing Committee member's office is determined by the amount of power and the number of affairs. For example, in Mao Zedong's era, the office with the largest number of staff was the Premier's office. Not Mao Zedong's, not because Zhou Enlai had greater power, but because he had more affairs. After entering the new era, Xi Jinping grabs both big power and small power in one hand. He not only does the General Secretary's work, but also does a lot of the Premier's work. The office with the largest headcount, without any doubt, is the General Secretary's office. This office has dozens of staff members, all of whom can be called the leader's little secretaries. These secretaries are divided into different groups responsible for different matters, such as the economy, foreign affairs, political, legal affairs, culture and education, comprehensive affairs, and so on. These secretaries are responsible for organising information submitted by their corresponding departments, providing handling opinions on various documents, and sometimes going out to sit in on relevant meetings or to understand relevant situations. In summary, it is investigation and research, providing information, review and gatekeeping, making suggestions, communication and coordination, urging implementation, and so on. And the Director of the General Secretary's Office is the boss of these secretaries, responsible for commanding and dispatching all secretaries, responsible for the priority order of documents presented to the General Secretary, and responsible for gatekeeping all proposed handling opinions on documents. He arranges whom the General Secretary meets and the work schedule. He follows up on the implementation of the General Secretary's instructions. And he also handles personal matters such as the General Secretary's healthcare and security detail. In theory, this post can monopolise the information the General Secretary comes into contact with, can push and supervise matters and coordinate matters in the name of the General Secretary, and can influence the figures the General Secretary meets. Its power is equivalent to the Grand Eunuch of the Ming Dynasty, different from the common understanding that secretarial work is just helping leaders handle miscellaneous chores. Ding Xuexiang places more emphasis on the advisory function of secretarial work, namely the ability to help leaders devise strategies and plans. Stationed in the position of a soldier, yet with the mind to plot as a commander, to provide leaders with targeted and operable opinions and suggestions, and the General Office is the leader's private think tank. Ding Xuexiang also pays relatively more attention to the supervising function of the General Office, ensuring that the leader's instructions are implemented in place. As a main leader of the General Office, Ding Xuexiang also has to be responsible for the daily operation of the Central Guard Bureau, as well as the Central Healthcare Office and the Central Confidential Communication System. These three organs relate to the top leaders' security and to control over the central regime. Because Ling Jihua's infiltration into the Central Guard Bureau was too deep, Xi Jinping had a deep sense of insecurity. Under Li Zhanshu's leadership, Ding Xuexiang completed the blood transfusion replacement work of the guards around Xi Jinping, transferring in fresh forces from the field army system directly responsible to him. After Ling Jihua fell, they used the scandal that the Guard Bureau participated in ivory smuggling to transfer Hu Jintao's confidant Ko Qing out of the Central Guard Bureau and arranged for Wang Xiaojun to take over as the Guard Bureau director. After Wang Xiaojun became seriously ill, they broke the convention that the Guard Bureau director is promoted from within, selecting Zhou Hongshu from the Field Army system to replace him, and also selected a deputy director from the 31st Group Army, ensuring the great leader's personal security and control of the corps. At that time, the director of the General Office was Li Zhanshu. As an assistant, Ding Xuexiang cooperated with Li Zhanshu to complete the rectification of the General Office system, completed the cleanup of Ling Jihua's residual forces, and dealt with a large number of cadres who took orders from Ling Jihua. They also discovered the leaking behaviour of Xi Jinping's personal secretary, Zhu Guofeng, and transferred him out of the General Office. In 2017, the 19th Party Congress was convened, and Ding Xuexiang smoothly took over as director of the General Office and entered the Politburo, becoming one of the 3 Politburo members born in the 1,960 seconds, successfully catching up to Hu Chenhua and Chen Min'er, who were regarded as successor candidates. In addition to being director of the General Office, Ding Xuexiang actually concurrently holds 3 other positions: member of the CCP Central Secretariat, Director of the Office of the Central National Security Commission, and Secretary of the Work Committee for Central and State Organs. Every single post is not simple. The Central Secretariat is the working organ of the Politburo and its standing committee. It handles the centre's daily affairs and directly assists the General Secretary's work. Within the Central Secretariat, a division of labour responsibility system is implemented. Each secretary is responsible for one system or several areas of affairs, and through means such as hearing reports, approving work reports and work plans, and participating in personnel appointments, bears leadership responsibility for the affairs under their charge. For general matters, a secretariat member has direct leadership and decision-making power. As the youngest member of the Central Secretariat, Ding Xuexiang formally participated in the operation of the CCP's highest-level power organs. The National Security Commission is a power machine personally built by Xi Jinping, possessing power that is everywhere, responsible for national security as the #1 major matter. Its member organs include power departments such as the military, public security, diplomacy, and intelligence. As director of the Office of the National Security Commission, Ding Xuexiang is responsible for the daily operation of this massive power machine. The Minister of State Security, Chen Wenqing, is only the executive deputy director. Previously, China had multiple intelligence systems, such as the military and state security, often fighting their own battles. Ding Xuexiang and his people successfully integrated the intelligence system, allowing the CCP to win the spy war with the United States. Especially in the operation to rescue Meng Wanzhou, they directed the Ministry of State Security to arrest 2 Canadian intelligence personnel in China, adding negotiation leverage for China's hostage diplomacy. In suppressing Hong Kong's anti-extradition movement, they coordinated the forces of state security and Guangdong province, selecting and dispatching a large number of Guangdong public security personnel into Hong Kong to deal with young students. They also unified coordination of the National People's Congress and Hong Kong's Legislative Council to pass the Hong Kong National Security Law, reformed Hong Kong's judicial system, and turned Hong Kong from a relatively independent SAR into a municipality directly under the centre. They also made Hong Kong shed the title of spy capital. In Xinjiang, together with the Political and Legal Affairs Commission, they put more than 1 million Uyghur people into labour camps, and together with the diplomatic system tried to present to the outside world a Xinjiang where people live and work in peace and contentment. In this position, Ding Xuexiang both obtained enormous power to participate in the intelligence system and further demonstrated to Xi Jinping his coordination ability, laying the foundation for his further step forward at the 20th Party Congress. The Work Committee for Central and State Organs is responsible for party work across all party ministries and commissions, as well as state council ministries and commissions. The party groups in these ministries and commissions are paid to station assigned, and their party building work is uniformly handled by the Work Committee headed by Ding Xuexiang. As the first top leader of this newly merged organ, Ding Xuexiang, on the one hand, is responsible for propagating to the staff of these central ministries and commissions all kinds of Xi Jinping thought, ensuring that they are loyal to Xi Jinping. On the other hand, he is also responsible for the disciplinary inspection work of these units, striking down all kinds of dissenting elements. Various ministries and commissions under the State Council are also included. Ding Xuexiang ensured that these State Council personnel pledged loyalty to Xi Jinping ideologically rather than to the then State Council Premier Li Keqiang. During this period, although he had already become a state leader and concurrently held multiple posts, Ding Xuexiang still concurrently served as director of the Office of the State President. He deeply knew the importance of this post and was unwilling to give up this key position. Relying on these core posts, Ding Xuexiang built his own network within the CCP top leadership, and together with Chen Zhi and Kai Chi, the three of them completed a de facto alliance. Relying on the central power of being at the core, Ding Xuexiang could provide Chen Qi and Kai Chi with various information and conveniences in arranging Xi Jinping's schedule. For example, at the opening ceremony of Daxing Airport, he arranged for Xi Jinping to personally attend at Kai Chi's request. As for Chen Xi's personnel Bulju deployment, he could also help Chen Xi with some advisory work, judging in advance whether it matched Xi Jinping's preferences, and these two also gave him a lot of support. Chen Zhi promoted multiple people from Ding Xuexiang's faction, such as Xi Zhaolin. Most importantly, in the talent arrangement at the 20th Party Congress, Chen Qi and Kai Chi also said many good words for Ding Xuexiang to enter the standing committee, enabling him to defeat other post-60s competitors. In sharp contrast, Chen Min'er, the Chongqing Party secretary who entered the Politburo together with Ding Xuexiang at the 19th Party Congress, on the one hand, did not produce any achievements in Chongqing, even if there were good achievements, because Ding Xuexiang could control the information Xi Jinping came into contact with. These achievements might not necessarily reach Xi Jinping's ears. On the other hand, he had no resources and tools to exchange with other top leaders, so he appeared isolated and helpless at the top level. At the spoils sharing conference of the 20th Party Congress, those with a voice, especially Chen Zhi and Kai Chi, kept inserting their own people in front of him. And no one spoke up for Chen Min'er. The only person relatively close to him was Li Zhanshu, because Li Zhanshu had also worked with Ding Xuexiang in the general office. He maintained neutrality in the Ding versus Chen competition. Even within the Zhejiang New Army, Chen Min'er was isolated and helpless. He was the earliest to be promoted within the Zhejiang New Army. When Xi Jinping had just arrived in Zhejiang, he was promoted by the then provincial party secretary Zhang Dejiang to provincial standing committee member and propaganda chief. At that time, Kai Chi, Huang Kunming, and Li Qiang were still only department director level cadres, while Chen Min'er was already their provincial leader. His relationship with Kai Chi and Li Qiang has always been rather subtle. With Huang Kunming, it is still acceptable. Therefore, Chen Min'er's methods in high-level struggle were far behind Ding Xuexiang's. His continuous marginalization is not unjust at all. At the 20th Party Congress, Ding Xuexiang became one of the biggest dark horses, becoming the only post-60s standing committee member, taking charge as executive vice premier, responsible for the NDRC, finance, education, science and technology, as well as Hong Kong and Macau affairs and other areas. This division of labour actually exceeded everyone's expectations, because people generally believed that Ding Xuexiang was more suitable to be the standing committee member in charge of party affairs, that is, the portfolio now handled by Kai Chi, because previously he had always been engaged in party affairs work and was not familiar with state council work, and the party affairs portfolio's power, because it manages the central secretariat and is responsible for the centre's daily work, is almost equivalent to the CCP's executive deputy general secretary. One can say it is immensely powerful. In the State Council's executive work, one must report upward to the Premier and handle several Vice Premiers and State Councillors downward. It is a role that does work and also suffers grievances. However, the great leader seems to appreciate more the kind of grit Kai Chi has, daring to fight and daring to charge, and chose Kai Chi for Ding Xuexiang. This counts as a small regret. Anyway, as long as he entered the standing committee, it counts as success. Ding Xuexiang's new work is not easy because this term's state council is already very different from previous state councils. With the completion of the reform of central and state organs, much power has been adjusted from the State Council to the CCP Central Committee and many committees, and Premier Li Qiang has positioned the State Council as an executing organ of the party Central Committee. Therefore, what Ding Xuexiang faces is the historically weakest State Council, and the power in his hands is pitifully small. Under him are three flattery experts, including Xi Jinping's good buddy He Lifeng. Of the two ministries under his charge, the NDRC and the Ministry of Finance, the former is He Lifeng's sphere of influence, and its director is He Lifeng's lackey, and the latter's two successive ministers were both recommended by He Lifeng, and like He Lifeng, they are all Hakka people. Therefore, Ding Xuexiang's power is greatly constrained by He Lifeng. He also serves as the director of the Central Science and Technology Commission. Why is this post important? Because China faces comprehensive US blockade in high technology, and the traditional science and technology system also has many shortcomings as the only vice premier among them with many years of research experience, and as a younger person. The reform of the science and technology leadership system thus falls on Ding Xuexiang's shoulders. This work that Liu he did not complete tests Ding Xuexiang's wisdom, because Xi Jinping likes capable confidants. If you cannot solve problems, being merely a confidant will not do. Therefore, Ding Xuexiang must prove on the new post his ability to get things done. Ding Xuexiang's decades-long political career, from an office in the Shanghai Institute of Materials to the Shanghai Municipal Party Committee General office, and then to the Central General Office, was office work for most of the time. Ding Xuexiang's governing experience is very similar to Wen Jiabao's. Early on, he grew within a professional system, and later he worked long-term within the General Office system. Before him, the strongest director of the General Office was Wen Jiabao, who went from director of the General Office to premier, and Ding Xuexiang's rise even surpassed Wen Jiabao's, going directly from director of the General Office to Politburo Standing Committee member, without passing through a transition of vice premier or other posts in between. This is not because his ability is stronger than other directors of the General Office, but because the party Central Committee and leader he served in these years had the greatest power, and what the director of the General Office shares is also the power of the party Central Committee and the leader. The greater the latter's power, the greater the director of the General Office's power. And Ding Xuexiang's age advantage also made him an important chess piece in Xi Jinping's power layout, allowing him to become one of Xi Jinping's potential successors. In the post of director of the General Office, the most important skill is to see through the master's intentions. It is said that back then, if Hu Jintao moved one eyebrow, Ling Jihua would know what he was thinking. Ding Xuexiang is also a master among them. He knows Xi's intentions well, and is an important helper in Xi Jinping's march toward becoming the one and only. On the one hand, he helps Xi Jinping devise plans and strategies, claiming to be a brain trust. On the other hand, he manipulates the General Office machine due to urging implementation of Xi Jinping's instructions, observing the competition across localities to study Xi's instructions and flatter him, and also introducing various systems that restrict intra-party democracy. It can be said that in every piece of Xi Jinping's evil, he has his share of credit, and his own fate is tightly bound to Xi Jinping's. Except for major political mistakes, he will not fall for any reason. Corruption, sexual scandal, those are small matters to him. Therefore, the rumours some time ago that Ding Xuexiang had fallen were the talk of people who do not understand CCP politics. Although Wen Jiabao had no public speeches while serving as director of the General Office after he became premier, even though Jiang Zemin criticised him face-to-face several times, he still repeatedly publicly expressed hopes for political reform within the CCP, recognition of universal values, and also courageously went to war with leftist forces such as Bo Xilai. This is Wen Jiabao's sense of responsibility as a statesman. But up to now, one cannot see any independent political views from Ding Xuexiang. He is merely Xi Jinping's echo. This is where he is not as good as Wen Jiabao, and it also shows that at most he is just a politician, far from reaching the level of a statesman. At the 20th Party Congress, Xi Jinping's arrangement of this kind was equivalent to setting up double insurance. After 5 years of training as Executive Vice Premier, Ding Xuexiang can become a versatile substitute if at the 21st Party Congress, Xi Jinping continues to serve as General Secretary, then Ding Xuexiang can continue to serve as Executive Vice Premier, further splitting the Premier's power, and he can also manage party affairs or become Secretary of the Central Commission for Discipline Inspection and return to his old line of work. He can also take over as Chairman of the NPC Standing Committee or CPPCC Chairman. If Xi Jinping is unwilling to continue as General Secretary and only retains the post of Chairman of the Central Military Commission, then Li Qiang can replace him as General Secretary and Ding Xuexiang can replace Li Qiang as Premier. No matter what, Ding Xuexiang has a bright future. Now, it appears that Xi Jinping is highly likely to continue and complete a 4th term, and Ding Xuexiang is more likely to take over Kai Chi's position at the 21st Party Congress. Ding Xuexiang's son is named Ding Chiming. The young Ding's first job began at Shanghai Pengxin Company. The boss of Pengxin Company is named Jiang Zhaobo, a Nantong businessman who has lived in Shanghai for many years. Around Ding, year after year, there is such a group of Nantong businessmen. Pengxin Group's most impressive feats in these years are, first, indirectly acquiring the bankrupt and reorganised Huiyuan Juice through its subsidiary Guozhong Water Affairs, controlling assets worth tens of billions with only a little over 900 million. Second, borrowing large sums of money from China Development Bank for overseas acquisitions, and the person responsible for liaising with China Development Bank was Yang Ding. And who was the chairman of China Development Bank? It was Comrade Hu Huaibang, who later fell. At Chairman Hu's invitation, Yang Ding quickly jumped to a fund under China Development Bank. In order to intimidate the proud and unruly veterans left by Chen Yuan, Hu Huaibang often boasted at China Development Bank meetings about his relationship with central leaders. Many people thought the central leader he spoke of was Xi Jinping, but Hu Huaibang had no intersection with Xi Jinping during Xi's time in Shanghai. The central leader he spoke of was in fact Ding Xuexiang. Although he helped arrange young Ding's job and also got a lot of loans for Director Ding's fellow townsmen, Director Ding did not save Hu Huaibang, who became entangled in the Wang Sanyun case. In fact, many cadres from Shanghai had good relations with Ding Xuexiang, such as the famous Comrade Sun Lijun. Besides serving as Meng Jianzhu's chief secretary, he also maintained good relations with both Han Zheng and Ding Xuexiang. This is also why Sun Lijun often claimed to be from the Xi faction, and why he always had deep confidence in his own safety. However, when the storm that swept through the entire political legal system arrived, Director Ding still witnessed Sun Lijun's downfall with his own eyes and did not provide any help. In fact, he also could not provide any help. As one of the 4 post-62nd Central Committee members who had direct contact with Xi Jinping, Ding Xuexiang is not only seen by Xi Jinping as his secretary, but also seen by Xi Jinping as his imperial disciple. Toward people he trusts and appreciates, Xi Jinping still practices use without suspicion. And given Ding Xuexiang's cautious personality, his own safety has no problem at all. It is just that the fate and prospects of those lackeys of his are hard to say. Thank you all for watching.